pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, Michael. Consider a motion to approve the agenda.
Also move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Move on to our consent agenda. I'd consider a motion to approve.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppin.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. We'll move on to our opportunity for public comment if there's anyone in the audience who would like to come up. If not, we'll move on to our commissioner reports. Any commissioners have reports today?
Madam Chair, I just want to remind the public that at 6 p.m. tonight at the Harrisburg Liberty Elementary School, we have the first public meeting for redistricting of the county commission districts. For those who don't know, the Liberty Elementary School is the one in Harrisburg, right across from the city offices. And we're going to meet in the Commons, and it'll be at 6 o'clock. It won't be televised or put on our live stream. So if you do want to, if the public wants to show up, they got to show up in person tonight.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Aaron's. I was going to point that out as well. Again, that's tonight at 6 p.m. at Liberty Elementary. Any other commissioner reports?
Madam Chair, I was just going to give a report that on Sunday, the 4-H group had their awards time. It was well attended, and so many of our young men and women received all kinds of awards for their active participation in various 4-H activities. They have a program where the more senior 4-H members that are in high school are trained as leaders, so they are kind of assisting the adults that are there. But it was well attended. I don't know, they had, I suppose we had maybe 150, 200 individuals there, but it was a nice event.
Thank you for that. I know Commissioner Poppins and I had this last week the opportunity to meet with the city of Sioux Falls and their planning public works department, met with Mark Cotter and his staff. They're going to be coming down and speaking to us about some growth plans for the southern part of Sioux Falls into Lincoln County and the infrastructure there along 106 as far as drainage and lift station and some other things that they have planned for the future as part of their, I believe it was their 5 to 10 year plan, or at least 15-year plan. So they're gonna come down one of these days on our regular agenda and talk to us about that. Any other commissioner reports? If not, we're gonna move on to our regular business. It's my understanding we do need an executive session, so I would ask for a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
Second?
Thank you. Will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Sherry, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. On item 1, I'd consider a motion to take that item off the table, or
So
to
moved.
untable it. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Will you call the roll, Sherry?
Who did the motion?
Poppins and Aaron's.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. So on item 1, approval of a plat of Lot 1 in Tract A in the west half of the northwest quarter of Section 21, Township 98 North, Range 9 West of the 5th Principal Meridian, Lincoln County, and authorize the chair to execute approval of the plat. Toby, do you have anything extra on this?
No, I assume you're gonna sign a building eligibility to that parcel.
The item that we have on our agenda today is approval of the plat, so I'd consider a motion to approve the plat.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Just for clarification to your question, Toby, we will be looking at subdividing that parcel and assigning eligibilities to them afterwards.
Okay.
And then marketing them. So, thank you.
So that plat files with the city of Canton, so I don't have jurisdiction over it, so just clarification of that.
Very good.
Do we need to put subdivision on our agenda? Or is that an administrative action taken by our planning and zoning staff? Because they make the application to the city.
So you're proposing to subdivide the plat that's currently before you? Then I would table this and ask the IMAG to redraft the plat.
Very good.
Was that what we want to do?
Under the direction of the planning and zoning director, I would move that we table it until the point we can have it redrawn.
Madam Chair, I'll withdraw my motion.
I'll second Commissioner Poppins' motion.
Commissioner Schmidt on this, or,
We've got,
I
you
need
got a
somebody-
motion on the floor, so you should draw.
you withdrew the motion.
I withdraw my
Well, it
motion.
was to take it off.
Yeah.
And we voted on that already, didn't we? Yes. So it's back on the table.
There was a motion to approve the plat, and
I
there was a
withdraw my
second.
motion. Jim, you're gonna withdraw your second?
I will withdraw my second.
Okay. Now, Commissioner Poppins, your motion.
Actually, it's a point of order, but it's fine. Are we going to, if everyone's all right, we'll just have a new motion to table and then redraw it with a subdivided equal parts.
Well, do we need to, why don't we just not approve it then? I mean, this is what's before us.
Whatever you want to do, Madam Chair. It needs to get subdivided before we move forward, it sounds like.
Council, what do you think? Right.
I'll withdraw my motion.
So I would like an affirmative motion to
I'll
approve
move
and
to
then.
approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
What?
You make an affirmative motion, Commissioner Smith, and then you vote no if you don't want to approve it.
So we just need a second to move forward.
Same motion you already made.
Okay, we, just for my own, so we had to withdraw the motion that Commissioner Gibbon and I approved, and now we're going back and we're
Same
making
motion.
the same motion all over again?
Yes.
Welcome to the show, folks.
I'll second, goodness sakes.
Thank you. Sherry, will you call the roll,
Learn and learn.
please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
No.
Commissioner Gibbon,
No.
Commissioner Schmidt,
No,
Commissioner Poppins.
No.
Commissioner Landine.
No. All right. So I think, Toby, you know where we're going with that we'd like to see it subdivided out in a plat.
Yeah, I'll work with Sean on that, yep.
Okay, thank
Very
you.
good, thank
So
you.
you want our office to call IMAG?
I can.
just so I know which way we're going.
All right, we're moving on to item 2. To approve and authorize the chair to sign a subrecipient agreement between Lincoln County and Southeastern Council of Governments for the 2022 year, their Unified Planning Work Program Agreement. Toby?
Good morning. Toby Brown, representing County Planning. So before you is the annual sub-agreement between Lincoln County and the Southeastern Council of Governments. This is for the administration of federal highway funds. As you can see, I did include the updated sub-agreement that you're considering. The only change from last year's was essentially changing the calendar year dates to the document. What these funds are utilized for is, as you can see, Lincoln County receives a budget of $50,000 with local match. We receive $40,975. This is for personnel services, so Terry and myself reimbursed for activities related to transportation planning on an annual basis. With that, there is really no changes, as I mentioned, other than the calendar year date to it. Again, these are the Sioux Falls Metropolitan Planning Organization funds that are passed through to us through CCOG. With that, we'd have to answer any questions that you have for staff.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for staff? If not, I'd consider a motion to approve.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. Sherry, we call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Move on to item 3 on our agenda. It was tabled at the last meeting, agreement between Pictometry International Corps and Lincoln County. John Peters?
Good morning, John Peters, GIS Director. Have a pictometry contract before you. It was tabled pending additional information. Basically a continuation of the past 6-year contract that we've had with pictometry with a few changes to pixels.
John, I'm gonna hold you up for just a second. That item was tabled, so I would like a motion to untable.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Sorry about that, John. Go ahead.
No problem. Question was asked about 3-inch versus 6-inch pixels for the contract. We met equalization, planning, highway, myself and pictometry met in March. 6-inch pixels are adequate for equalization in other offices, but it was thought that we should have 3-inch in the growth area up around Sioux Falls for higher detail where more activity is occurring. The cost breakdown on the facts and vetting, the cost to upgrade the area in the growth area is $5,760 annually. This is what was asked. Also, there was a question about deadline. There is an ASAP deadline on this. The sooner that we get this contract signed, the more likely we'll be able to get a good spot in spring, weather-wise and such. It doesn't have to be approved or signed until December 31st. If we go beyond then we would be on a as-needed or when available schedule for spring and may not get flown in spring. Go ahead.
John, I think the question, I'll just try to cut to the chase here.
Yes.
Question at the last commission meeting was, what is the reason, what is the value and the benefits of having greater detail on our map and of course paying more for it? What are the reasons why we as a county would need to have that greater enhanced level of detail?
Yes. And I think it speaks for itself pictorially, the higher detail, but I did have Carla come and she may be answering more of why do we need the more detail. I think I spoke to the idea of being able to see items more clearly, such as curb and gutter, windows, additions to properties, In the flood world, the streams change, the things like that, that we can see clearer. It's just a matter of detail. Full justification of need is subjective. We don't need to,
Well, I
is my
mean,
answer.
For example, does the equalization office need this greater level of detail? Because when they assess someone's property, they want to say, oh, I see that you've built a new shed in your backyard. Or do they say something like, oh, I see you've installed, new windows in your house and thus you have a higher property value? I don't know. Those were the thoughts that were coming into my mind after last week's meeting. Of course, the question becomes higher level of detail, there's a higher cost to it. Yes, the equalization office may get some value or benefit, but is it a value or benefit we actually need to pay for, given the fact that, I think our equalization office has a lot of manpower that goes out there and does this stuff anyway, right? And I don't know, maybe Carla can speak to those issues.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Good morning,
Thank you. Good
Carla.
morning. So yes, the equalization office does utilize pictometry to its fullest degree. Some of the reasons why we find a better benefit 3-inch versus 6-inch is because many times when we're on site and we're doing inspections, the gates are locked. So without getting in the back of the property to look at the decks or the patios or the swimming pool areas, we use pictometry to help as a tool to do some of our measuring for us, since we're not able to get into the back of the home because the gates are locked. This year, we use pictometry a lot in our reappraisal areas because we had property owners that refused any type of inspection. So what we did is we went to pictometry. It was the 2020 flyover. We were able to measure the exterior of the residence that way, which we are able to do, but the better resolution, the better we're able to determine, is it a deck or is it a patio? We want to make sure we're assessing the right type of property. It's been a unique year in our reappraisal area. We had semi trucks blocking the roads to enter onto the property. So we weren't able even to get to the home to get a picture or anything because they parked semi trucks out on their property, so we couldn't even drive up to leave a door hanger or anything. So the 3-inch versus 6-inch, we're able to do what we're able to do with the 6-inch. But the 3-inch is a much clearer resolution. Sioux Falls gives us the 3-inch, so we felt in our growth areas outside of Sioux Falls to have that 3-inch imagery was beneficial.
I think what everybody's kind of looking for is, and it's a cost-benefit analysis. What makes this particular 3-inch versus 6-inch, how does it pay for itself, if it does?
And Madam Chair?
Go
I
ahead.
have a question, and it's also a clarification of if it's important for us to do it there, why is it not important to do throughout the whole county, so everyone is treated equally when it comes to the quality of their appraisals?
I would absolutely be 100% in favor of that. It's just the cost effective. It was the cost to do the 3-inch throughout Lincoln County. If we're having this debate over $5,000, I don't know what an extra $250,000 type of debate would have been.
Are new images every 2 years necessary? Is that what we do?
That has been the rotation since
Yes,
pictometry.
2 years was a good rotation. 1 year is what we would like. That's not affordable. And 3 years, we did have a delay in 2019 because of flooding throughout the nation. They couldn't get to it. 3 years starts to get a bit of a lag, too much for all the development that's happening, planning and such like that, that you can't see those changes. So 2 years is a nice, it's not written in stone. It just works out very well for tracking the historical and that.
In 3D
If I-
is images are, you feel more valuable?
If I could give a couple examples of what we saw out there when we were looking at change finder on the 3-inch to 6-inch. Some of with the change finder, and I know we're not doing that so much this year, but when you see an image on a property, it looks like it's a structure, but it's actually a tarp over hay bales, but it looked like a building. So the cost effective, in my opinion, on that, and we sent 8 appraisers out looking at those types of inspections, just the cost of gas alone would be the cost saving. We wouldn't send them to a tarped, some hay bales that are tarped, had we known it was not a building. A lot of those calving huts showed up as a structure. If we were able to have a little better imagery, we wouldn't have sent the appraisers out to look at those calving huts. It looked like a shed.
John, are you able to demonstrate at all an image of a 6 versus a 3 at all on the
I
screen?
can.
You
yes.
can.
And before I do that, I'd like to say that the equity throughout the county of 6-inch is acceptable. What we need is the aerials in successive cycle. We had in 2008, we started with Sanborn, and they gave us 6-inch pixels. And those are adequate for seeing windows, doors, everything. Again, we were just hoping that within the cost budget that we had previous, we could have the 3-inch for that added ability. So we do have the 6-inch quote and the 3 6-inch quote. And without getting into all the variables of pictometry, I guess I'm just saying that really is the baseline for our aerials is 6-inch. We had a 9-inch throughout the county the last time, and that was not adequate. And I have 3 examples I will put up on the board on the podium.
John, is there anybody else besides the county to the north that uses 3D imagery?
Yeah.
I mean, do the counties or other counties around us also use the 3D, or is it mostly
There we go.
something else?
I believe Minnehaha and Sioux Falls both have oblique. So this is the 6-inch. We can see windows, doors, roof. We can see on the left side that this is a multi-level, has a retaining wall, so the walkout is lower on that. There's some good detail there. You can get your gist of the building and what is it and how is it situated. The 3-inch is much clearer. I can see their shingles, a better view of the multi-levelness of the building, and a clearer picture of what's in the yard and sticking out of the roof, those types of things. What we have had previous was a 9-inch, which this is totally inadequate. It does say there is a building there, and it has windows and such. It doesn't give us really enough detail, and I guess I wasn't speaking into the mic. Sorry. The USGS provides a 1 meter pixel, and basically is worse than this as far as is there a building there or not. So those are 3 examples that I put together for you to see.
Can you put them side by side?
I don't know, can I?
Yeah, of course you can. There you go.
That's 9 and 6, right, John?
3,
3 and 9.
6, and 9.
Yeah, what I mean, the one
That's
I'm
the
looking
6
at,
right there,
the one
correct?
I'm looking at is 9-inch on the right side,
9,
6,
6,
yep.
and then 3. Can
I
we?
can't see 3 on there,
Yeah,
that's not,
we're gonna get out there.
okay.
There we go.
All right, thank you.
This is a good comparison. So I don't see a lot of difference between 3 and 6 until you zoom in closer than this. Then you can pick up that detail much better.
Carla, if you want to come up. So with the 6 versus the 3, how specifically does that help you in doing your job? With this, even just
Right,
using
right.
this particular,
Carla, before you,
And
before you answer that, just so I understand, the 3 inch is only for the metropolitan area,
of
correct?
Sioux Falls, correct?
In Sioux Falls.
OT.
Harrisburg.
Oh, T. and
T,
Harrisburg.
Harrisburg, and Sioux Falls. Okay.
yes.
And the cost of that is $5,760
Correct,
per year, correct?
per year.
correct.
Yeah, okay.
So you're paying $5,000 for that growth area of T. Harrisburg and Sioux
Well,
Falls, where all that.
I'm just,
Well, I'm assuming you place a more accurate property value on the property, and for $5,000 a year, it probably more than pays for itself, but
and the-
Right.
and
I don't want to take your,
No, that's
I don't
okay,
wanna
that's
steal
okay.
your
It needs to
thunder
be
here.
explained. I mean, we
ahead.
can't be the only office using this. But, you know, a home is a great example. Some of the, where greater detail comes into play are some of your personal storage sheds where the height does matter. And when you zoom in, it's hard to get the point for the height measurement. So like John said, you know, you can't really tell that much of a difference right here, but as you zoom in, it becomes, you know, less clear.
I don't think there's
se.
any debate that how useful this tool is. It's a question of the cost, and then the question that I still have yet to feel satisfied on is the targeting of areas that have the growth, not equitably with the other parts of the county. That is my biggest question. I think it should be for all or for none.
Yep.
what is the
Understand.
cost if you would do the whole county, do you know?
We have that, it's on the briefing form. I knew we do paper and digital. We can zoom in on that. So I did speak with Ryan after our questions at the last meeting, and it's no problem to switch that to the 6-inch. They already quoted it. That's also in the packet for the agenda item. So we would drop from 3 6-inch from 44,000 rounded to 38,000. And that would give us the 6-inch countywide, and that really is adequate for most of our purposes.
I was asking about the
The 3.
3-inch countywide,
Oh, 3-inch countywide, no, that was off the chart.
cost-wise.
Yeah, that was, no way we couldn't bring that forward to you.
The areas that you have talked about, Commissioner Poppins, I understand what you're saying, but however, with you look at the growth between Harrisburg and T and Sioux Falls, they're converging. I can certainly see that you need as much definitive information as you can have. And for $5,000, trying to accommodate the growth and accommodate our assessors, and if you're running into difficulty from taxpayers that don't want you on their property, you have a resource that at least gives you the opportunity to be as accurate as you can, given that scenario. So I think that $5,000 is a pretty wise investment myself.
I don't disagree with that at all, but I do probably believe that it was not in the northern parts where the semi-trailer was blocking the road where they couldn't get into the property. You know, in the city streets, you could literally measure a house from walking on the city street in the back lots and see that versus an acreage. It's half mile off the road. If you can't get access to it, that's where the definition would be. I do think it's an extreme cost, which we don't even know, John, and unfortunately, we don't have that number, but I still believe it's an equity scenario, just like equalization of the taxes. I think it's the services in which we collect that information should be treated fairly amongst all resident or taxpayers.
Did you mention the cost between the 3-inch and the 6-inch is $160 versus $400? per pixel sector area.
$400.
Right, that's also in the budget, papers that are attached, if you'd like to see that.
Yeah, I know it's gonna be cost prohibitive. I just, again, I struggle with treating areas, especially when it comes to a very sensitive issue with property valuations and taxes, you know, certain areas differently than others, so.
Yes, and I know that in GIS or highway, the higher pixel also allows us to find culverts in the highway system that we wouldn't otherwise. But again, that's something that we can see on site, having to do with projects as well.
And we just got a bunch of money from the state of South Dakota to go out and identify all these structures anyway, right?
That's right, yes. we
So
did. Yes,
you'd actually be duplicating services then, because
sure.
theoretically, well, pragmatically speaking, we should have already identified everything, right?
We did a
Yeah.
lot of them on the county system, so, yeah, yeah.
I think some of the things that Commissioner Schmidt identified with the northern part of the county, I'm sure that probably changes practically weekly, doesn't it? Some of the growth and
Yes.
and monthly, much more so than probably some areas in my district that doesn't have the intensity of the growth like he maybe experiences in his district.
I try to take a different route when I go to Sioux Falls, visiting up there, and yeah, the growth is exponential. And it's surprising what actually is changing, the dirt, the buildings, the storage of things everywhere. It's exponential.
You know, I think if I was a taxpayer and I had concerns about how my property was valued, I would want somebody to say that they came out and viewed it personally, as opposed to looking at satellite imagery. Because I'm looking at the 3-inch and the 6-inch photos there. I couldn't tell you the quality of the shingles. I couldn't tell you whether those are new windows or not. So, and also it calls into question then all the valuations that have been done before we purchased 3-inch versus 6-inch. I mean, are all the taxpayers now gonna turn around and say, well, my valuation was wrong from last year because you guys didn't have the right imagery? Well, of course not. I think they're still gonna just rely upon the assessors coming out there and looking at their property to make sure they got a fair valuation.
I mean, we're not using pictometry to look at their shingles. We can do that on site, which we do. We don't rely on pictometry to value a home. It's only on some of those structures that we're not able to get in the back of the yard because the gates are locked. That happens, the majority of that in that northern part of the county. I mean, people are in a very high-density area, and they lock their gates, which time and time again, that's.
Carla, I look at this, and Commissioner Aaron's, I'm not arguing with you, but I view this as a tool that our assessors use to make sure that we are fair. Because if you are denied access to property, you then, and you didn't have this, you would have to go back to a rule of using averaging for the entire area, which in some cases is not fair to that individual that doesn't want you on the property. But if you have this tool here available to you that adds you in the not having to have people go out and recheck things, if it aids you in your assessing process, this seems to me that if we're quibbling over $5,760 is we spend more time here today talking about that than it's what it's really worth. So I think that we're going to use pictometry 6-inch for the best you can for the rest of the county, for the growth area that is experiencing, you know, I can't tell you how many apartments, if you go one week to the other, that you will see, or townhouses or buildings, and all you got to look is the city of Sioux Falls and their building permits, and you'll see where the growth is and how much of that's going on. So I think that we should honor what is being done and add the 3-inch to the particular area and move on.
Is that a motion?
I'll make that a motion,
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
No?
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
No.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. We'll move on to item number 4.
Just to clarify, that was yes to execute the contract?
Yes.
Okay. And thank you for the discussion.
Thank you. I spoke with Julia. I kind of wanted to look at the survey that was done on the wellness that we did before we chose the insurance package that we chose for the employees. And after we did that, I received a few phone calls from different employees and leadership from the county, just wanting to put some bare facts to some of these, to potentially the need for the option with the diagnostic testing. And I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention, that employees above, on top of spending $10,000 to $12,000 a year for their family premiums, there are employees that have spent $8,000 to $14,000 and perhaps above that, over and above the cost of their insurance for that diagnostic testing. So I just wanted to put that in perspective. I think the folks that wanted the increase, they're already getting a 6% increase no matter what, but the folks that wanted the 8% increase, I think they wanted that because they need it and want their insurance to do more than what it's doing for them. I think the folks that simply are healthy and don't need to go to the doctor. I didn't know if there was any thought in wanting to revisit that issue because of the phone calls that I received. If not, we can move on from there, but just wanted to know what the thoughts of the board were. And Julie, if you have any input into that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say that there is some strong feelings that they would like the additional coverage for the diagnostic testing. I don't have anything else to add to that. I mean, yes, I hear the same conversations that you're hearing. People are upset with the decision. There it is.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
We have
fine.
already started open enrollment, which started on Monday. I don't know if that makes a difference in this conversation. However, that information has been sent out to staff. So if you'd like some changes, by all means, but we'd probably have to do that relatively quickly.
Sure.
My only question is, as I referenced when I voted last time, there was a 50-50 split, so just as many did as just as many didn't. Has there been any correspondence to change that split between the two groups?
No, the survey results are what they are. But to Commissioner Landine's point, yes, there's people paying a significant out-of-pocket expense due to the change in the plan design. And so by changing the plan design and having that 8.7% increase, that would alleviate some of that, the additional expenses.
Well, it's really just a 2.7 because they're already going to be paying the 6% if they take the
Oh,
coverage.
you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Madam Chair, I too have received many, many phone calls from staff members that are not pleased with this particular package because of the diagnostic thing. So I went, and I neglected to bring that with me, but I checked on the diagnostic tests that can be done and the cost of that, not having them to be covered and have to pay that out of pocket, pales to me why we have health insurance, because it seems like the most important people we have, or most important things we have in the county are our personnel, because they do the job. And not to give them that protection, to me, as I said last week, I just can't believe that that is something we're short-sighted in, very short-sighted, because I think that's an added feature that you have here. And, you know, that's why some people take other insurances. They go with their spouse or something, or they seek other situations. And I don't know. I looked at other, we won't bring that up, but I looked at another insurance source that I think we should explore at some point in time, which has a lot better coverage. What was the price of adding the diagnostic? Do you have that, Julia?
It was about, it was $79 and some change, I think, for a family plan.
I can quick run and get it. I'm sorry. I didn't realize we're gonna be talking about this. Each month, what is the additional cost?
Or year, whatever, some idea on what the actual cost would be.
I'm sorry, I have to go grab it. I don't wanna,
Okay.
I don't wanna give you bad information.
Okay.
If we were to change, I would like that the county pick up the complete difference because there's half that don't want to do it and half that do want to do it. So it's, I believe, not equitable to those that didn't want to do it to have their insurance costs go up too, so.
Are we gonna be able to do anything on this agenda since we don't?
No,
have
that's, I
anything?
just wanted to have the discussion since we're talking about the wellness program as well. On whether there was any thought on addressing that as a board.
Another idea, just to put something else out on the table, because we've already started open enrollment, maybe one other option would be that the county, if you want to do something to maybe rectify the situation, is pick up a greater split of the premiums on what the employees are picking up versus what the county's picking up. Right now, it's a 72-28 split. Perhaps you look at a greater split
Well, and
to offset that.
what
Just an idea.
what happens if the people that don't want the diagnostic testing pay for the insurance without the diagnostic testing, and the ones that want it pay for it with? Is that even an option?
No. Because people are going to, how do I explain this? People are going to go to the different plan design that are healthier, and so the cost is actually gonna skyrocket the premiums that,
Sure.
does that make sense? I'm not explaining this well.
You water down your risk pool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to see if there was any taste for putting that back on the agenda to address, but maybe we're blocked because of time.
I
don't know.
would caution that those are healthy and feel they don't need a diagnostic. There's no guarantees, and we never know. But that is a very, very expensive item not to be covered.
I will say, don't let time be, the determining factor. If you all would like to revisit this, then we can pause open enrollment. We'll just put a halt on it, and we can revisit it in next week or 2 weeks from now, whatever the next meeting's going to be. So I don't want that to be
Yeah,
the
I just
deciding
want to
factor.
see what the,
This was just for the wellness program, so if you want it set for the next meeting.
yeah, I'm not asking for anybody to vote on anything on this. I'm just trying to get a feel for if there is a desire to put this back on the agenda for further discussion because of the phone calls that I had received. If there's not, then we'll just move on.
I may be in the minority, but I would like to see it revisited.
All right. Well, I think let's just do that because I want the people that really needed this, I want their concerns to be addressed, so.
How would you like me to handle open enrollment? Do you want me to stop it?
I'm not, I don't know that we can stop it.
Not noticed, we're not making.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay,
We'll just go back to
Yeah.
the topic we were on.
okay.
We're-
Okay,
we're
moving right
moving
along.
on. To
Sorry
your
about that. Okay.
Clarification of the wellness bonus.
Okay, so during last meeting, the commission decided to give a wellness bonus. I think the resolution said for all employees. I'm just looking for a little clarification on all employees, what that means. Does that mean part-time and full-time, or does that just mean benefits eligible individuals?
My belief was benefit eligible individuals, so.
Okay,
Which excludes, for the record, the part-time individuals.
Okay, very helpful. Do you want to take a motion?
Did anybody feel differently about that?
Will you repeat that, Commissioner?
It was just intended for the full-time individuals that are eligible.
Yeah,
for-
that's the way I understood it.
Would you like a motion to clarify it?
That's up to you.
We can do it, just so it's in the record.
I would
Sure.
move to clarify the motion for the health benefit to be for those individuals that are full-time with the county.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, because I seconded it, I think it was last week.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes?
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. And then on item 5, I'd consider a motion to untable the grant writer position. All right, hearing none, that item will remain tabled. We'll move on to item 6, Thompson Reuters Agreement. Mr. Golden?
We were contacted by Thompson Reuters. They handle Westlaw for us. That is our legal research. Instead of having a extensive law library, we're able to do everything electronically, and so we go through them in order to do that. Since we added, over the past couple of years, 2 attorneys, the way they do the billing is they go through and they count the attorneys on the letterhead, and that's how they bill us for our research. We discussed whether or not we could just keep the same number of license that we had. They said that was not an option, that like I said, they only go by how many attorneys you have in the office. So this would be an increase of $677 a year for legal research. And so that's what the updated contract is for.
Just a question. I mean, I'm very familiar with Westlaw, with Lexis, Fast Case. Does Westlaw provide a benefit? I mean, are there cost differences, or does that provide a benefit that may be a less expensive option?
We could go out and check. This is just who we've been contracting and
Sure.
working with. And when they noticed that we'd added attorneys, they went ahead and notified us that they would increase the cost.
Sure, and I think, I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve this, but I think we probably do need to look into the cost. With my bar membership, I have Fast Case, and I'm not sure going out how, what your needs are compared to my own needs as far as legal research, but I'd be interested in seeing if there's some cost savings that we can find.
I could go ahead and get comparisons to the different ones and bring it back to you.
Thank you. I'd go ahead and ask for a motion to approve the Thompson Reuters Agreement.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion, and then I'll also, as part of my motion, request the state's attorney's office bring those proposals back for more information. And I too am very familiar with Westlaw. That is a monthly bill that I pay that bill every month as well.
And I know there's some benefit for public service agencies that they get some reduced pricing and what have you, but that might be the case across the board. So anyway, just think we should
I'll
look at that.
second Commissioner Aaron's motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hey, Bill, what's the length of this agreement? Is it a 1 year, 2 year?
I think it's a 1-year contract,
Okay,
and I think this is an addendum. I think it's 1 year and it's an addendum to what we currently have.
oh, gotcha. All right. Any further discussion? If not, Sherry, will you call the roll?
Madam Chair, can I have a clarification
Yeah,
on the
go
motion,
ahead.
please?
We're going to accept the contract with Thomas Reuters
All right, thank you.
for the $677.27 a month.
Yes, with the requirement that the state's attorney to bring back other proposals and evaluations.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Commissioner?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Go ahead and move on to item 7 on our agenda, board action on catastrophic poor relief voucher.
Lincoln County, as every county, has an obligation with county poor relief to go ahead and pay for indigent individuals' hospitalizations. The requirements there are if an individual is hospitalized and is a resident of Lincoln County, they're not employable, they do not have insurance, and they have no other assets that could go ahead and cover the hospitalization, then Lincoln County is responsible for paying those bills. We contract with a Minnehaha County social worker to go ahead and evaluate those claims, and then the state's attorney's office litigates them if there's an issue. There's also a catastrophic fund that we participate in, which when we have bills that are excessive, we're able to go ahead and apply to those funds to get reimbursed. We had one of those here recently, and what we're requesting is a signature from the chairman to go ahead and file a voucher requesting reimbursement from the catastrophic fund on one of these cases. We typically don't go into all of the facts in the case, but that's what this request is. I believe the requested amount is around $28,000 that we're asking to be reimbursed for. So that's why I'm here before the commission today.
Thank you. We've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Bill, could you just clarify that? You put out a dollar amount just now. I didn't catch all of that. Or I thought I heard something. My apologies.
It was $28,000 some dollars that we were asking to be reimbursed from the catastrophic.
$28,812. That's what we have.
And so just in terms of how that process works, is it normally self-executing, or do we have to file a voucher with the catastrophic fund in order to get those funds back?
Well, I'm going to show you about a half inch of paperwork, which my office goes ahead and prepares. We have to go ahead and show that there was a timely application to the county social worker, that matter was either litigated or that we deemed that the individual didn't have sufficient income in order to purchase insurance, that they didn't have any other assets, their home was mortgaged, they didn't own a car over a certain amount of money, they claimed the homestead exemption, so we couldn't, so they had no property that could be levied against. And so they're truly indigent and have no way to actually pay the bills. So we have to document that in the file. And then once we do that, we have to show that, and in this case, we took the person's deposition. We went through the process of ensuring that what was in the application. We asked for tax returns. We went ahead and looked for any other sources. Could they have been on Medicaid, Medicare, any other means? Were they in a car accident which resulted from this, and could we go ahead and, is there somebody else liable for it? So we go ahead and explore all those other options, and when we run out where there is no funds, I think in this case the individual was making $5,000 a year due to their health problems, and that their house is basically mortgaged, and so there was no assets whatsoever. So we've documented all of that, and then we supply that to the fund, and then they will review the documentation, and if we're in compliance, we'll get reimbursed.
And there's no equity in the house?
No.
Okay.
Bill, just as a matter of course, I mean, deposition is the normal way that these are handled, correct? Where the provider schedules the deposition and then state's attorney's office attends and
Yes.
and asks whatever questions need to be asked as far as the assets and debts are concerned.
Yes, and as part of the notice, there's a subpoenas to take them, which requires them to bring their tax returns, to bring in bank records. And so they have to establish that they don't have any assets, and they haven't been able to. And of course, if we can show through the deposition or documents that they were intentionally avoiding work or getting insurance so that they can have the county be responsible for it, we look for those things. But typically, the situation is somebody has a catastrophic event, and from that catastrophic health event, they lose their employment, they lose their insurance, and then we start, the county is then the one on the hook for the payments, and we pay at the Medicaid rate. So a lot of times, we may get a bill that's $150,000 to the individual, but when we look at what the DRG rate, the Medicare rate is, a lot of times that's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 versus the $150,000 the individual is facing. But when we litigate it, we have to look at the $150,000 amount that they're looking at, whether or not they have the ability to pay that back or the assets. We do not get to look at the Medicare rate, which sometimes is, like I said, 10, 15,000 versus the six figures.
Was this claim also compromised or settled with the healthcare provider?
Yes, they agreed, and in a lot of these instances, we have multiple claims, and so there may be smaller claims of $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. And so we'll sit down and negotiate where certain ones get dismissed, so we don't pay because we found there was the ability to pay or there was other assets. We may agree that some of them are compromised on the dollar amount because they may be close. But usually, most of our agreements are over multiple cases, and so there's a lot of negotiation that goes on in order to reach these settlements.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not compromising this or settling this, and then healthcare providers are turning around and filing small action, small claims court cases against these people as well. I mean, this is truly being compromised and settled.
That is my understanding is of these claims is that when we pay them, they're taken care of.
Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Item 8 on our agenda is to authorize the chair to sign a bid letting authorization for the South Dakota Department of Transportation.
Terry is out, but if you needed any clarification on it, this is just authorizing the bid letting for the agreement that's been executed in January of 2021.
Thank you. You've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Next item is to approve and authorize the chair to execute a quitclaim deed for Jerry Flanagan.
This is the quitclaim deed for the property that was awarded on November 2nd.
That was at 2 foot.
That's at
Yes.
2 foot between two
Okay.
buildings.
Yep.
Gotcha. Consider a motion to approve.
Move
So
for-
move.
Second.
I will take Poppins' motion and Commissioner Schmidt's second.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
Same thing, this one was the property in Beersford that was awarded on November 2nd.
Thank you. For the request, is there a motion to approve?
So
Oh.
moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, Sherry, you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. Move on to item 11, annual alcoholic beverage license renewals.
I have been in contact with the sheriff's office, and he says that there are no complaints against any of the establishments that are up for renewal.
So you need a motion to approve those renewals?
Yes, we can probably do it all in one.
So move.
Second.
Thank you.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. No further need for any executive session. Bill? All right.
Just for clarification, while we're on recording, that first executive session was under number 2.
For legal?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Consider a motion to adjourn.
Also move.
Second.
Sherry?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes?
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Just another reminder, tonight at 6 at Liberty Elementary in Harrisburg, 200 East Willow Street is where we're having our first Redistrict public meeting. Thank you.